It'll be all right. I'm busy.
Yeah, Honorary, you can pull me. Take over the desk while I come back. Okay. Ready, okay. Yes. All right, now, y'all want to talk, dude.
Okay, are we talking to East Baton Rouge Parish? Yes, yes, sir. How are you doing this morning? I see it's Lieutenant Murphy. Okay. All right, can you hear me, sir? You're muted, I believe.
All right. Can you hear us now?
I can hear you now. Okay, let me do a couple of introductory things. Right now, it's 8:42 in the morning on April the 3rd of 2025. This is the Committee on Parole, and we are currently in Baton Rouge at headquarters for the Department of Corrections. That's where we are. There's three of us that will be serving on the panel this morning. To my left, Chuck Ellis. To my right is Danny Barra, and my name is Steve Prater, and I'll be the acting chairman this morning, and I'm the one that will be doing the interviewing on this particular case with you. You are at East Baton Rouge Parish, and I'd like everybody in the room with East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, would you please identify yourself, sir?
Lieutenant Murphy.
Okay. Okay, that's it. Well, thank you, Lieutenant, for hosting us this morning. And we won't take a lot of your time, but we got some questions we got to ask. And sir, your name is Jake Dangerfield. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you know what your DOC number is?
349-445.
Okay. And you are here for a revocation hearing. And you have been, well, let me ask you this. Do you have a piece of paper in front of you?
Yeah, that's it.
It's
Yes,
got
sir.
your name. Okay, and that's got your name on it that you signed that, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that talks about your rights, and it talks about your an attorney and that sort of thing, and you agree to those things, and all that's accurate, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, we're here for a revocation hearing, and when you get out of prison, you sign this sheet, you say, I'll agree to do these certain rules. And so we're here to find out about Rule 4, 7, and 10 that your probation officer, parole officer, feels that you have violated, and there's probable cause to hold you on those. I'm going to go over them one at a time and let you talk about it and tell me if you're guilty, not guilty, and if you want to talk about it a minute, okay?
Yes,
So
sir.
the first one, I guess, is the most important one. When you get out of jail, you say you're not going to do anything criminally wrong. You're not going to beat up anybody, shoot anybody, rob anybody. You agree not to be involved in criminal conduct. Okay, you are accused of the second-degree domestic abuse battery and domestic abuse battery, and you were arrested on 2/29. Well, excuse me, you were arrested before. Yes, you were arrested on 2/29 of 2024. Is that, are you guilty of having beat up somebody?
No, sir. I got dismissed of the charges when I went to trial for them, and they dismissed the charges itself up on that.
Okay. All right. Well, you understand we're not operating under the same rules as the court. Just because they were dismissed doesn't mean you didn't do it. So that'll be for us to determine after we talk to you a little bit. But you're saying you're not guilty of that.
No, sir.
Okay. Tell me explain to me what happened, because the lady in this particular case, she said that you beat her up bad, number where she beat up bad, I mean bad. She's in intensive care. She looks like an alien. She looked bad. And but you're saying you didn't do that.
No, sir. No, sir. To be honest with you, we went on a date. And I was aware that, you know, she's used drugs and things like that. I wound up getting my disability check on a card. And me just doing 21 years in prison, I really didn't know how to use the card. So I allowed her to do so. We went get matching haircuts. You know, I told her I could get her a haircut, get a nice hairdo, and get me something, you know, a few little things done. Some dudes pulled up at the barbershop at
Wait a minute, audio went out.
She actually left with the dudes in the car. So I got back to the apartments, which was me and my brother-in-law was staying at, and she was actually beat up, like you say, real bad in the hallway. I tried to console her. As we getting close to her, she started hollering that it actually was me that done it. Now, I had a few witnesses that were saying that she was doing that because I refused to buy her drugs and I refused to actually date her some more because things was just going bad in the last couple of months that we've been dating. So, you know, to make a long story short, I didn't know nothing that was going on until I got into those apartments where she was at in the hallway. That's when I found her. But we didn't go to the apartments together or nothing. We left in separate ways, which I was at the barbershop. We was at the barbershop together. We left.
All right, Mr. Dangerfield, let me move on and we'll come back to that in a minute. But I want to move on to rule number 7. You're staying at the wrong motel room. Were you at the right motel room or the wrong motel room?
I was at the right motel, but I was at the wrong door. I gave him the wrong door by mistake, the wrong number. I think I was in 236 or 232 or something like that. And at the time, I wasn't really paying attention. He did call me and ask me where I was. I let him know exactly where I was, but I gave him the wrong door number. It was a mistake.
Okay.
It was a mistake.
You're saying you're guilty of that. You just simply gave him the wrong door number on the motel.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about rule number 10 on the money?
I once again, I just been home 13 months from doing a 21-year sentence. I get disability. I just had got my money before this charge had happened. I haven't had time to pay nobody anything. I was willing to pay, but I never got a chance to do it. I come to jail up on the charge. If you look, you will see that the 29th, I got my check like the 23rd or the 24th of that month for the first time since I've been home. That's the only income I ever got besides food stamps since I've been home.
Okay, so you're pleading guilty to that, so that's not a problem. I understand that. Now I want to talk to somebody and then we'll come back to you and discuss the specifics. But I want to move our attention to Tina Belvin to see if she has some information. She's your sister. I think she's on Zoom, and we're going to hear from her, and then we'll come back and talk to you. Tina, is that you?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you, and thank you. Tell us what you've got to say.
Good morning, board. How are y'all doing? My name is Tina Belvin. I'm on behalf of here, my brother Jake Dangerfield. Let me just speak by saying that my brother, he did 21 years, like he said. There's no need to repeat that. I'm just getting to the point. Shakita's White is a associate of mine. That was before my brother was introduced to Shakita. How they met, I really don't know, but his address is 82 10 Cypress Road, and he did move in with my ex, which is his brother-in-law. So he met Shakita, and she was an associate of mine. But I know a lot about Shakita. That's why I sent the information in about Shakita. Yes, I know she's an alcoholic. I know she attends Serenity Place that's somewhere in Baton Rouge. I don't really know the location, but I have dropped her off like blocks away, but I was informed that that is a place to go get clean. I never knew she was on drugs, but I knew she was an alcoholic, and I knew that. So once she connected with my brother, I was like, oh my God, okay, but I left it alone because he's been locked up 21 years, a man, that's just a man and a woman thing. Let's fast forward. Okay, so, I was bringing Jake here and there, and I'm like, Jake, you've been locked up. You need to learn how to get around, son. So he went and got a cat's bus pass to go to Social Security. He had been fighting for his Social Security because he was on Social Security before he was locked up and done 21 years. So then he also had a problem with his stimulus payment that he received in jail. So the funds I presented to you guys, which was where the IRS concluded that he did not receive the stimulus payment because the handwriting did not match. So he had to send in some little handwriting analysis to the IRS, and it took a long time. So he finally got the money. I think it was like February or something. And so he called me. I'm like, yeah, sis, I finally got the money. I can do this and that and do this and that. And I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. It's been a long time since you had that much money. So he said, well, I got a problem. Don't be too excited. I said, what's wrong? He said, well, Shakita don't want to give my car back. I sent her to do stuff and do this and that. So I said, well, put me on speakerphone. And I was trying to pull up my phone records to show that his number and my number match, but it was just too long of a process because it had been a year. So at this point, I'm like, okay, Shakita, can you hear me? She's like, yeah, whatever. But I call her Kiki. Everybody call her Kiki. So I'm like, Kiki, just give him his car back. No, because he has another girl and they're not going to spend that money because I got things to do. I'm like, okay. So Jake, like, she called the police for me. She called the police for me. I said, well, Jake, just wait for the police. And then you let the police know she's in possession of your property with your name on the card. That's all I can say. So, it got momentarily silent on the phone. I'm like, okay, somebody talking to me? Kiki, somebody answer. And they're like, yeah. So then I heard, Jake, she gave me the card, but she didn't give me my medical card. So that's the paper I showed y'all with the
Come
medical.
out. Come out, Tina. Let's not chase rabbits, okay? We need to find out what you know about him beating up this woman. Okay? And try to make it as succinct as possible because we usually limit people speaking to 3 minutes. And I can see right now we're going over that. So let's go fast forward to the night she got beat up. What do you know about that?
Okay, well, after I had got a phone call from Sean Guy, was his present parole officer, and he had just met with Jake 2 weeks ago. He's like, your brother is incarcerated because the Baton Rouge Police Department notified me of some charges that he was involved in or wasn't involved in. I'm like, how? And they say, well, he told me he was at this hotel room, but he gave the wrong room number. My brother's almost legally blind. You can tell from the glasses. So I told Jake to move himself from the situation. You got your car back, go find a place to stay tonight and we'll figure it out. So not knowing that she was beat up, nobody knows. These are the stories that I heard after Shakita being my associate. What happened? Girl, I was drunk. I didn't really know. Okay, I said, did you get an altercation with the woman that you thought was going to get Jake money? Girl, I don't remember. I say, Shakita, that's the pictures I sent in where her and I are still, she's still my associate. I want to understand what happened. I never get it. I never got the story. I got served from other people that the girl that she thought Jake was going to go with to get the money had an altercation after Jake was at the hotel. Jake never knew nothing about it. He just got a phone call from his parole officer and he let the parole officer know where he was at. Not knowing, because of a person that's been locked up 21 years, get that amount of money, they ain't about to turn themselves in. They don't know what they've been accused of. He wants to enjoy his money, do what he got to do, pay parole fees, whatever. He had choices to make when he got the money. And he gave her the first choice. He gave her the card. She made transactions.
Tina,
That's the story I got.
Tina, this is turning into a seminar. Tell me what you know. Do you have any direct knowledge about whether he beat her up or not?
Am I unmuted now?
Okay, yes.
Yes, I just have stories of what people are saying, because most people, when you have fights out here in Baton Rouge, everybody gonna video. There's no video. Security won't come forward.
Okay, is there anything else germane or important that we might want to know about your brother? before we talk to him some more?
I don't know what happened that night, sir.
Okay.
I've gotten stories, and I have two different stories, like I just told. We don't know if she got involved with the woman that she thought was going to get Jake money. So I told Jake, look, just move around. And he said the police was called. He waited. Police didn't show up. The second time, he told me that she called again. I say, listen, just go find you somewhere to lay your head tonight. So,
All right, thank you. We appreciate you weighing in on this, and we'll take what you had to say seriously. And you're a good sister and a supportive sister to your brother, and we're glad of that. But I think that's all we're gonna be able to have time to hear this morning, as far as the nuances of this case. Do y'all have any questions for her? No. Okay. All right, thank you. We appreciate that. Well, let's move back and talk to Jake Dangerfield. Jake, you ready to talk to us some more?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now's the part where I get to interview you and try to find out. And we were going over this before. You don't know how this woman got those injuries, correct?
No, sir.
Okay. Could you put Jake back up on here so I can? Okay, Jake. So you don't know how she got the injuries.
No,
Do you
sir.
know? Do you know that you did do it, or?
No, I did not do that at all, sir.
Okay,
I'm not even that type of violent person at all. I never put my hands on a woman a day in my life.
what'd you have to drink at night?
It was tequila, vodka, I think, and absolute vodka.
Okay, tequila and absolute vodka. Because
Something
it
like
says you gave a statement to the police and you said you had about a gallon of vodka and you don't really remember what happened.
you said I said that to the police?
That's what's in the report.
Yeah, I didn't tell the police that I didn't know what happened. I did not do that. I
Okay.
actually explained to them the best of my knowledge. They have a police report. They should have some story for me stating that also. If they got a videotape. I got the copy of that on that they sent me to. They should have a videotape with me actually with my confession up on there stating that I actually know what was going on.
Okay. And so you didn't tell your parole officer that you had a gallon of vodka and some
Yes, I did. Yes, sir. Yes, I did. Yes, sir.
that you had a gallon of vodka.
I know we was drinking. I say we was drinking.
And you told him that you didn't remember. Let's see here. You could not remember what exactly occurred due to how much alcohol you drank at night.
You see, that's what I said. I did not say that, sir.
That's what the
I couldn't
parole officer
remember everything. I said I couldn't remember everything.
couldn't remember everything.
I couldn't remember everything because it started. We was together for 3 nights straight.
Okay.
Yeah, so I couldn't remember everything. I didn't say I couldn't remember nothing.
Okay. All right. Okay, just for the record, there were extensive injuries, facial injuries. She was in intensive care. The board had been supplied pictures, and she was badly beat up. As beat up as anybody I've seen, almost. And did you ever? You were on parole in Texas too, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many times did your parole officers over there get you hot on drug screens?
I'm not sure, but I went to the rehab and that's how I came back to Louisiana. I went to the rehab and I did my 30 days. I had a 30-day sentence from the rehab for drug use, and I wound up coming back to Louisiana. That's how I come back here because I didn't have an address. I done what I was supposed to do though. Everything that every meeting that I was supposed to go see him, I went seen. I did fall off. I went to the rehab and I come back down here. So the only thing,
Since you've done all this rehab work, do you think that maybe drinking a gallon of vodka might?
well, it was. To be honest, it wasn't I mean, I wasn't drinking a whole gallon of vodka. It was a thing. Me and her had a little thing going on. We both, she wound up getting me into the mood to do this, and we just was drinking. It wasn't like I was really drinking a whole gallon of vodka or something. It was just something that I had bought for us to have a good time for that night, or those couple of nights. That's all it was, sir. I acknowledge that I was wrong up on that behalf. I do have a drinking problem. I do. But I mean, for as me putting my hands up on her, I did not touch that woman whatsoever.
Okay. She has not recanted her statement. Quite often in these domestic abuse situations we run into daily, where the victim changes their mind about wanting to prosecute you, and the victim says it didn't really happen like I said and all that. This lady says she don't want anything to do with you, and it happened. Why would she say that?
I honestly, sir, we went through a lot of abusive things for her. She doing things to me. I really don't know. I just know that she's a mental patient. She's bipolar. She drinks and she gets loaded a lot too. I honestly can't tell you why. This is my first girlfriend I done had in 21 years that I've been incarcerated. I never had a woman like this a day in my life. I never. So I can't explain exactly why she would feel that way or what really happened. All I know is that particular part for is me put my hands on her. Like I said, I swear I never touched that girl a day in my life. I didn't know what was going on with that situation. I left. I found it really like that.
Okay, I don't have any other questions. Mr. Tillis, do you have any questions? I don't know. Mr. Barra?
May I say something, please? I have a video. I have a video.
Okay, good. Let me ask this. Is the video of the fight or the night that this occurred? Was that?
The video I have is of the morning. I didn't know how to quite do a video to send it via email, but I do have it here. I don't know if you guys can see it. I can press play.
What's it a video of? Give us 20 seconds.
Enjoying themselves. It shows that they both might have been drinking that day. And it also shows, just the character.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you. I don't think we need to see that video, but I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. We have someone here, Specialist Shauna Jones. Would you like to, and she's with the Department of Corrections. She's one of the parole officers. Would you mind going to the podium there? And I don't know that we need to see the interview, but would you tell us or answer our questions that we might have, or give us an opening statement, whatever you want?
Okay, yes, Sean Jones with probation parole.
And speak as loud as you can so that Jake Dangerfield can hear you.
Okay, we're doing my preliminary hearing investigation. I requested the evidence that the Baton Rouge Police Department had on this case. And I observed the interview between the detective and Mr. Dangerfield. And because he had told me at the jail that the victim had left with 3 men from the barber shop. And in the interview, he says that they walked home, or they walked from the barber shop, and that she fell and hit a trash can. And then he said, he said something to the effect of maybe people saw me trying to help her up out of the ditch because she fell. And then they went back to the hotel. But he told me too that when he got back to the hotel, when I interviewed him at the jail, when he got back to the hotel, that is when he found her beat up in the hallway. And he assumed it was the 3 guys that they left the barbershop, that she left the barbershop from. Then but then I got to thinking, well, why didn't he call the police? Why wasn't he there? And so, those were the discrepancies in his interview that he did with the detective in that, no, they weren't near the hotel, and then apparently she hit a trash can or something and fell in the ditch, and people may have saw him picking her up out of the ditch. And, then, I watched the interview between the detective and the victim. And she says that they got a ride from the barbershop to closer to the hotel. And that, that is where the, assault occurred, which would kind of line up with the trash can incident. And then, during that interview, the detective says, no way, it was the interview with him, but anyway, the detective has had video footage from that apartment hotel-y complex. Apparently there was an office, and there's video of him in the office peeking through the blinds at the police as they were working the case, hiding from the police as well. And I
I
want
would
to
like
say,
for that to be seen if that's possible, that video.
Wait a minute, sir. Okay, go ahead.
and then she also said that, that it was him, she made an ID of him, and she was 100% it was him that did assault.
So she never recanted,
No, no, sir.
okay? Are you convinced? Are you convinced with having looked at all the interviews, just like we've seen the majority of the information here too? Are you convinced that this man beat up this woman?
Yes, and I dug deep and found evidence to assure myself that, and I do believe he did.
All right, Mr. Any questions? Of her?
No.
Okay, any questions of her? Thank you for taking your time to come over, and we appreciate your diligence.
Mr. Dangerfield. Can you hear me? You're on mute again.
Yes, sir.
You said you were drinking that day.
Yes, sir.
Is it possible you don't remember what happened?
I know that I did not put my hands on that woman. If y'all would go through those tapes, those videos, like they're saying, you can hear it for you. You got to listen to the whole thing. And I might have was a little drunk when I was saying things. I did not put my hands on that woman. I did not do that. I know that for sure. All that peeping out the blind and things like that. I was looking out the window for the police to come. If you look at the time of the video and the police pulling on up, it's not going to add up. Just do the basic things and just take that and look at that. It is not going to add up. I was looking out the window looking for the police. I was not in no office. I was in the hotel. I was in the building lobby. If you look at it, you will see that. I was in the building lobby. Never
Thank
was
you.
in the office.
Thank you. Thank you. I have one.
Do you know that drinking alone is a serious violation of your parole?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like I said,
This wouldn't, you wouldn't be here today if it wouldn't be for that.
yes, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, that'll conclude the interviews. Now it's time for us to vote, and I vote first, Mr. Dangerfield, and I'm sorry to tell you this, but I find you guilty of violating Rule 4, Rule 7, and Rule 10, and that my vote today is that your parole be revoked. And, Mr. Tillis?
I concur with Mr. Prater.
And I concur with Mr. Trader also for the same reason.
Okay, Mr. Dangerfield, I'm sorry to tell you this, but at 9:09 this morning, your parole has been revoked into the hearing from East Baton Rouge.
All right.
Well, good morning. The time is 9:18. We're at Baton Rouge at headquarters, and I think I think we've already introduced ourselves to you and, or for the purposes of the, Committee on Parole, which is what we are. And so we'll be talking to Rayburn, right now. And, is anybody in there from Rayburn? Could you introduce yourself?
Yes.
My name's Keith Bickham, Deputy Warden.
Okay. Deputy Warden, we appreciate you hosting us this morning, and I see you got a bunch of folks behind you. To begin with, I don't see Curtis Bailey. Is Mr. Bailey?
Her's got him. He's in. He had to run to the bathroom real quick.
Okay, well, we better kind of wait for just a second then until he gets back. And but while we're waiting, the folks behind you, do you have a list of them, Warden?
Yes, sir.
Could you fax that list to us or send that to us? And that way we'll keep each of them having to go with their name and us spell it and all of that business. If you could just fax us that too, and when we're through with the hearing. And we appreciate y'all being there in support of him, and he knows you're there because he's in the same room with you, so we won't go over the introductions like that.
Where it is, Bill took it to Curtis from the bed to the new
You guys.
All right, we got him.
Okay, Mr. Bailey, we're in Baton Rouge. My name's Steve Prater, and you can see from our name tags, to my right is Danny Barrott, to my left is Chuck Tillis. You got some folks that are here to speak on your behalf, and I'll read their names. They're here in headquarters. Datris Jones, Dwayne Rodriguez, and Daniel Swan are all here to speak on your behalf, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. Then Mr. Randall Meyer will be speaking about in the opposition. He's with the DA's office. But before we get into that, your name is Curtis Bailey, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Bailey, what is your DOC number?
290352.
Okay, and you're applying for a parole, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell us, before I turn the questioning over in a few minutes to Mr. Tillis, who's going to be the main interviewer for this morning from us, and before these folks speak on your behalf or opposition to you being paroled, why is it that we as a board should consider you for parole this morning? What have you done? What'd you do to get in jail? What have you done since you've been there? And then I want to hear from the warden when we're through with that. Okay?
All right. Good morning. How y'all doing this morning?
Doing good. Thanks.
I'd like to first start off saying that I apologize from excuse me, that coming off a cold. I'd like to first I want to take full accountability and responsibility for my action and my bad decision making. And also, I am very sorry for and remorseful for the thing, for my bad decisions I had made when I was in society of selling drugs. I know it's wrong. And I'm very, very, very remorseful for that. And I would like to say, I like to make amends with my community, if granted parole for monitoring youngsters, speaking out to schools and stuff, giving my story, letting them know they could make better decisions from what I had made in life, mistakes I made in life.
All right, sir. Thank you. We appreciate that. And Mr. Tillis will delve a little bit deeper into that, and then the board will in a few minutes. But to begin with, and I'm trying to say this name correctly. Zoom to date, Miss Jones. Is that correct? You're muted, please. Well, Miss Jones, wait just a minute then. Hold on just a second. Warden, I didn't call on you, and that's the appropriate thing to do. Let me hear what kind of fella he's been, and then we'll go to Jones.
Curtis has been with us for, going on 4 years, about 3.5 years. He's worked his way up to a level 3 trustee. He's currently working outside the gate, but they don't go off the ground, so his time doesn't allow him to go off the ground. His time frame being here, he's had y'all see his record, he's got 2 write-ups in the time he's been back in the DOC. But most of those were minor. But he has made trustee, and he worked before he made trustee. He worked in the concession and as a dorm orderly here. And as a walk on the outside out there.
And what kind of disciplines were Warden?
Let's see. One of them was for passing canteen or giving canteen items to someone else. And then he had a charge when at ARDC before he came to us, where they found a cell phone charger, and a homemade weapon.
Okay, but that was
21.
in 21.
Yes,
Okay.
RDC.
Okay, Miss Jones, are you there with us now?
I am here.
And you're unmuted, so we appreciate that. So go ahead and tell us what you'd like to say, and we want to limit it to 3 minutes if you could.
Okay. My name is Detrice Smith-Jones. I am the Executive Director of Servants Heart International Outreach. We have a program with Department of Corrections where we take the guys coming home from prison and we help to reintegrate them into society. This program is sponsored by the Department of Corrections as well as by the council office of our district and the sheriff's department. I actually just met with the councilman to make sure that he is still in agreement with Mr. Bailey making parole. We talk about each and every last one of our guys coming home. We have specifically been discussing Mr. Curtis's role when he hopefully does make parole. Mr. Curtis has been a very, very well-spoken person to assist us with reaching back into the community from his position in jail. So what we do is we use those calls that we make with him, and we use letters that he has to explain and express to the kids in the community of his mistakes and his errors, and he hopes to help them to grow better. We also have a job that's ready for him when he comes home, and we also have housing that's ready for him when he comes home. Not that he does not have housing, because as you can see, he has a lot of support from his family, but what he wants to do is to continue on the right path so that he continues to do the right things. So my company is filled with master level social workers. We have psychiatrists and doctors who are helping, who's willing to help to get him prepared for society, because it's going to be a transition from being inside of the prison to coming outside into the world. And so he is dedicated to doing the right things. So that's one thing that we want to continue to can you guys hear me? We are dedicated to helping him do the right things and to making positive decisions. So we are extremely excited that he has this opportunity to hopefully make parole. We've only been able to do limited work since he's been in the prison. And once he comes home, we will be able to do much more extraordinary work to help our future, because that the kids of the future are what we have to instill in them so that we know that they're making positive and better decisions. And I can honestly speak on his behalf and state that Mr. Curtis is very, very remorseful of his situations from the different programs that he has worked with us, and him having conversations with the kids and his integrity. He's taken ownership for the things he's done. He has not glorified them. He has stated that they were mistakes and it cost him some of his life. And he does not want our youth to continue down that path. So with that, I am strongly and respectfully asking and almost begging that you guys give him the opportunity to make parole so that he's able to help us to make a bigger and better future for our youth.
Okay. Mr. Barrod has a question for you.
Where's your program located?
We're located in the Marrero community. It's 1425 Walkertown Way.
And how long will he be staying with y'all if we parole him?
If you parole him, we first we make sure that he does 6 months. That is guaranteed. After the 6 months, if he wants to stay longer, then we allow them to stay up to 18 months. But before we allow them to leave, we help them with housing, jobs, clothing, shelter. We help them to set them up so that they're able to be successful into the community.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate that. Let's move on to Dwayne Rodriguez, who is here at headquarters. He's a mentor here. Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, sir.
Would you go to the podium, please?
Okay.
Thank you.
First, I'd like to tell everybody good morning. And I know the job that you gentlemen do, often you don't see the results of it. If you do, you usually see the results on this side of the street. I would like, I'm gonna offer my support to Curtis. You have to excuse me, I'm a little nervous with a lot hanging in the balance here, okay? 13 years ago, I was sitting right here in that same seat. And I came before this board and you guys gave me another chance, which it wasn't a second chance. I made more than my fair share of mistakes. But since then, I went back to college, I graduated. I have a very good job in the chemical industry here. I'm married. This past week, I just closed on my 10th property. So in the time since y'all paroled me, I'm one of your success stories. Curtis can be too. I've also reached back, my cousin is here, excuse me, I'm a little nervous. My cousin is here. When he was released after me, he came and lived with me. Now he's married, he owns his own home, he's very successful. I spoke before this board for another year, Favorable Palmer. When he was released, he went into a program like the lady was just speaking of. And afterwards, him and his wife came and lived with me and my wife. I required him to save his money. Now he's a homeowner. He went back to school for truck driving. He owns a truck, hired a driver, and he sells cars in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I can tell you a number of stories that you guys won't know because we don't come back in front of this TV. But when you give us a chance, we make good on it. Now I'm asking you to give Curtis a chance. He has support. He has people like myself and who my cousin that I wasn't planning on getting nervous with that. But he has people like us who's gonna be supportive, mentor him, help him to make good decisions, talk with him. You need that. I think that's the number one thing that it worked for me, is to having that support, with people who are gonna be there, stand for you, and help you make the right decision. If you have any questions for me, feel free to ask.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations to you, gentlemen, for giving me a chance. They tell me that's what
I just have a question. Are you planning on taking him in too, like you did the other guys?
Oh, absolutely. I took in Favorable Palmer, who you guys granted parole, and he was on a very serious charge. After he finished that program, but not that particular program, but a program very similar, that ran in Baton Rouge. Him and his wife moved in with us, stayed with us for over a year. The only thing I required of them, they don't have to pay no bills, I make sure they pay themselves, So that way they can save their money, and when they leave, they're able to buy them a home. I did the same thing with my sister-in-law. She left from an apartment, now she's a homeowner, So I took that.
Thank you.
Now I'm asking what you got for Curtis and his family.
Doing a good job.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, Mr. Daniel Swan.
Good morning, how you guys doing?
Good, thanks.
as like my cousin was saying, I've been home now for 9 years myself. I came home to stay with my cousin. I got myself together. I took welding when I was in school. I'm now in local 198 union. I've been welding and pipe fitting for 9 years. I clearly make about $200,000 a year, sometime more than that. I also spoke for a gentleman by the name of Troy Grimes, and he was on a more serious charge also than Mr. Curtis Bailey, which is a really good friend of mine. I also took him in and mentored him and continued to keep striving with him. And now he's also in the union welding right now, and he's working in a city called Geismar at the plant in Geismar doing excellent right now. So as my cousin was speaking, a lot of times you don't see the success stories because like we don't come back here. We're succeeding in life now, so there's no reason for us to come back. But when my brother Curtis Bailey is getting another opportunity to possibly get his freedom, I am 100% in support with him. He can also come and stay with me. I will take care of him and make sure he goes straight. He has all the support that he needs. If he doesn't want to go to the program with the lady speaking about, he can come to my cousin or he can come to me. I support him 100%. I will do whatever I have to do to make sure he succeeds in life. I understand that it's hard in society sometimes, especially when you come from being incarcerated, because when you come home, it's like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm a little nervous, but he doesn't have to be nervous because he has so much support, especially from us and his family, that Curtis will succeed. And I will say this, as I said for my friend Troy Grimes, when you guys granted him, if you give Curtis opportunity to get parole, which I beg you that you do, if he even gets a traffic ticket, I will bring him back myself and leave him at the front door and say, go ahead and take him back. This is how for sure I am that Curtis will be successful because of the support system that he will have. Curtis is 58 years old. He's on the latter end of his life. I mean, you don't know how many more years you have left, so I just want him to succeed in life and be able to take care of his son that he has. I believe his son is 7 or 8 years old, and I just want him to enjoy his life. And whatever I have to do, I will do it. If I have to write a report every week for you guys to give you a progress report on him, I will do that because I love him like a brother, and I just pray that you guys give him an opportunity to come home. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Doing well. Okay, let's hear from Mr. Randall Meyer. Mr. Meyer with the Assistant District Attorney.
Good morning, Randall Meyer, Assistant DA Jefferson Parish. We are strongly opposed to Mr. Bailey's request. You look back at his long criminal history. He began selling and dealing with cocaine in 1989 and has continued numerous times since then. He has a poor supervision record. He was under supervision twice, and he was revoked both times. He was given an opportunity by the board back in 2015, and he was granted parole. 2019, he was revoked. Why? Because he was selling heroin, and he had over 28 grams of cocaine, which resulted in a 10-year and a 22-year sentence back in 2019. He also had over $7,400 in cash on his person when he was arrested for that 2019 offense. During his incarceration prior to being paroled, he had around 30 disciplinary reports, which aren't in the current record because that was a prior incarceration time. Since he is returned to prison, he's had disciplinary reports in 21, 22, and 24. It doesn't appear to us that Mr. Bailey has reformed. He's been given some opportunities and he's blown those opportunities. And we feel strongly that if he is released now, he's going to get the wrong understanding that crime does pay, because he'll be right back out selling drugs again and poisoning the community with that. So we're strongly opposed at this time.
Okay, Mr. Meyer, thank you very much for that.
Mr. Prater, the
Yes, sir.
24 rule violation was appealed and it was found not guilty. The one he was referring to, just for the record.
And which one was that, the 24 or
Yes, sir, 24 to 2024, right?
the? Okay, thank you, Lord, straighten that out. Okay, Mr. Tillis, I believe it's your turn to take over the interview.
Good morning, Mr. Bailey. How are you?
How you doing this morning?
Good. How long have you been incarcerated?
6 years.
6 years? Only 6 years?
No, throughout my incarceration, I've done 23 and 29 years altogether.
29? And all of it was for selling drugs?
Yes.
How long have you been using drugs?
I never used drugs, sir.
You never used drugs? How long have you been selling drugs?
I sold drugs to make easy money. I sold drugs started back in '89. That was my first time getting caught up selling drugs. And I stopped and I started back again. And I got caught up again in '92. I got found guilty in '95 on a racketeering charge. I done 23 years on that. I got out in 15. And I made another bad decision by being in the wrong environment and fell back to the same habits and caught another charge in 19. So throughout my 29 years of me messing with drugs, I said 3 times.
I see. You know, I went through your case and I see you've taken a lot of classes to rehabilitate yourself. Which one influenced you the most?
One of the me the most is victim awareness and substance abuse.
Substance abuse.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a lot of people speaking very highly of you and wanting to help you, and I'd like to help you also. But what's going to convince me that you're not going to get out and sell drugs again?
I can tell you from my honest opinion of board member that if I be released today, that deep in my heart, I know I never made that mistake against selling drugs by me going through these classes, especially at substance abuse, and by me reviewing the tapes, and I'm like, I had to put myself in the family member's shoes that who I was destroying by selling drugs. And I'm like, oh man, you know, and I felt really sorry for me doing that, especially by me taking the victim of wellness. The victim of wellness is 3 victims that I ain't never knew of. There's a direct victim, there's a primary victim, a secondary victim, and a territory victim. And by me taking that class, I'm like, I ain't never knew it affect the community the way it do. Or like the primary victim, that's the person that got hurt. And the second person that was most dealing close to the family member, like family member, a friend, and the territory victim that would really kind of blew me because like I never knew that it had a ripple effect for like when you selling drugs, it only hurt the community for that, the police, the banks, insurance company. That's part of the community, you know, the hospital staff and all that. And I'm like, man, that's indirect, but it also is a bad influence. And the flex, it caused, I'm like, you know, I had to reset myself. And like, I'm like, no, I can't live that type of life no more. That's not me. And
okay, you said something earlier that I want to ask you about. First, I want to ask, when you first were released, what kind of work were you doing? Did you get a job?
Yeah, I got a job. I was working with Pastor Brown at Curtis Cops, doing maintenance work.
Maintenance work.
Yeah.
Okay, and when when you were revoked and you were released again, I think you were released twice. Did you go back to working?
Yeah, I was only released for 1 time, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, now let me ask you this. and this is what I was asking about. You made a statement that you were selling drugs because there was fast money, easy money. So if you're released, if you're granted parole again, that's a good way to probably make some more fast money to get yourself on your feet again.
So I'm not, that part of my life is over with. I'm not going back to that type of lifestyle. I'm honest. I got a kid, the son God that raised, and I need to be out there for this life to show him to do better and make a better decision. Then don't be like I did. You know, I don't want nobody to suffer the things I did. I'm very sorry, remorseful for what I did. And I don't see nobody else do the same thing without the same path I went. So that's why I say if I have to get out, I'm gonna join the organization, find me a sponsor, somebody gonna help keep me in line and make sure I'm on the right path. You know, if I need somebody to fall back to, look, man, you know, I need some help. You know, I fall back to them as well as my family members too.
How long were you a level trustee? Level 3.
Level 3, it's February.
Since February?
Yeah.
All right, I have no more questions.
All right. Well, Mr. Tillis covered the questions I had.
Okay, let me ask you a couple of things. How many times have you been caught for selling drugs?
Three times.
How many? 3?
3.
Okay, the first time you got caught, how much time did you get?
I got probation.
Probation for that. Did you ever get revoked on your probation? Did you violate your probation?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I violated.
So you violated that. Okay, the second time when you got arrested, I think it was 1995.
I got arrested in 1992. I got convicted in 95.
Okay. When did you get to 50 years?
That was in 95.
Okay. And in 95, you got 50 years. How many years of that did you do?
23.
So you didn't even do half of that. And you got out and you did it again. You reoffended again. Did you violate that parole?
Yeah, yes, sir. I violated.
Okay. And then, so you didn't even serve half of that time. And then you got arrested again for doing the same thing. And this time you got 22 years. And how much of that time have you done now?
6 years.
Okay. All right. And now that's what you want us to get out. You got a horrible record of us counting on you. Us trying to give you chances. You know that, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Are y'all prepared to vote? You want to talk about it?
I'd like to go into executive session.
Okay. We got a motion for executive session. Do we have a second? Mr. Bowman? Got a motion and a second to go into executive session.
Tim,
Yes.
Laura,
Yeah.
Prayer.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Bailey, we're gonna go into executive session for just a moment, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. It won't take us long. And we'll be back and then we'll take a vote and we'll see what's gonna happen, okay?
Thank you.
Have a motion to come out of executive session.
Yes, sir.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
And a motion and a second to come out of executive session. Could I have a roll call, please?
Monroe,
Here.
Tilly,
Here.
Prater.
Here. Okay, we're out of executive session and we're prepared to vote now. This case was assigned to Mr. Tillis, who will be the first to vote.
Mr. Bailey, I went over your case several times. And you've not done some things that are good. I was more or less committed to law enforcement, but I'm gonna stick my neck out for you. I'm gonna vote to grant, basically because of these two guys here, their stories, and I hope that you'll change your life and do something positive. And also, Miss Jones, I would recommend that you, my condition would be to stay there 18 months. And so my vote today is to grant.
Okay, grant with a condition of 18 months at the, let me call the name, Servants Heart International. Okay, that's your vote. Okay, take all three vote. So, Mr. Morrow?
So I'm very concerned about your criminal history and your inability to successfully complete any terms of supervision so far. That causes me a little bit problem, but after listening to you, people that you have here to support you and the reentry plan you have pending, I'm going to go ahead and concur with Mr. Tillis and just remind you that you have all your time waiting on you for the first violation. You're going to have, if you mess up at all, you're going right back to where you were for the rest of your time. And I'm sure you understand that already. You've experienced that. So I'm going to concur with Mr. Tillis on the 18 months over there. I'm also going to add a condition that you have NA and AA meetings 1 time per week, that you complete an outside substance abuse evaluation and follow all the treatment that goes with it, that you perform 1 day of community service per month, and that after your 18 months, you go live with Mr. Dwayne Rodriguez for 1 year. And that's going to be 2.5 years of intensive supervision. And hopefully you'll be able to, by that time, be set up, rolling, and doing like these other guys, and you'll be coming and talk for other people. If not, like I said, we will nail you the next round you're here without even thinking about it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
All right, it's my turn, Mr. Bailey, and I'm really concerned because so many times people say drugs are a victimless crime, but you know they're not. There's no telling how many people died because of cocaine you sold somebody and they got shot on a street corner trying to get some more, or under the effect of it, because it's not a victim's crime, and you know that. And I was really comforted in the fact that you admitted that. And, you brought up the community, how it affects the community and all that. So I appreciate that. You hadn't done good on supervision yet, but you've aged in 6 years. I think that you've matured. And so I'm gonna give you a chance. So my vote is to give you a chance. And don't screw up and make us look bad, because Mr. Myers comes on there and his heart's in this thing, and he tells us some things of what he thinks the community, and we listen to him, and it's you're gonna be disappointing so many people, including all the people behind you. So don't come back. Do good. We wish you well. Wish you well.
Thank y'all, I appreciate it.
End of the hearing, 9:56.
There's a little rabbit out of the head, I'm telling you.
No, you just waiting on them to.
Yes, sir. My name is Steve Prater. To my left is Chuck Tillis. To my right is Danny Barra. The time is 10:05 in the morning, and it's on April the 3rd of 2025. We're in Baton Rouge at headquarters. We're speaking to Orleans Parish prison, I believe. Is that correct? Is anybody in the room with you, sir?
Sir?
Are you by yourself in the room?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there's nobody there with Orleans Parish, but anyway, your name is GLEN ALVERIS. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Good morning. I know, sir.
Okay. And what is your DOC number?
705193.
Okay, and do you have a piece of paper in front of you that has your name on it that you signed?
Yes, sir.
And does it go over your talking about an attorney and different rights that you have and all that? You signed and agreed to that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, your case here, and we're here, this is a parole revocation hearing. And so when you're given, when you get out of prison, you're given these certain rules, and you agree you're going to live by them, and your condition was that you abide by all of those, and you're accused now of violating 2 of them. And your case has been assigned to Mr. Barra, who is going to go over those rule violations with you and let you talk about them. And he's going to call on anybody that wants to talk for you or against you and all that. He's going to handle the interview, and then we'll all vote on it. Is that okay with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, good. I'm glad. Okay, Mr. Barra, it's your turn if you take over on this.
All right. As he said, we're gonna go over the violations. You have violation alleged to have violated condition number 4 and condition number 10. Number 4 says, I will not engage in criminal activity or associate with people who are known to be involved in criminal activity. It said, the subject failed to refrain from criminal activity as evidenced by his arrest on 11/13/24 by Louisiana Probation and Parole for active warrants from NOPD. The warrants for the offense is a violation of protective order, simple assault related to domestic abuse. How do you plead to that?
Not guilty.
And the second one was condition number 10. I will pay a supervision fee in the amount set by the Department of Corrections. Payments are due the first day of every month. You have failed to make any payments to fees and is currently $2,079 in arrears. How do you plead to that?
I plead guilty to that, sir.
You made no payment?
No, sir.
All right. Well, let's go back to number 4, since that seems to be the biggest problem we have here. You're saying you're not guilty, but we're getting information from the police report and the probation officer that states that at your preliminary hearing, Agent Robideau introduced body cam footage. The body cam footage captured cell phone video that appeared to show you that the victim claimed was making when Alvarez come into her residence in violation of a protective order. Agent Robideau introduced a police report that stated in part, on Tuesday, June 25th at approximately 1 a.m., Officer Zachary Spears, manning 7134D, responded to a call from dispatch to investigate a signal 103D domestic disturbance. Upon completion of the investigation, you were charged with violation of a protective order. Ms. Davis stated her ex-boyfriend, with whom she shares 2 children, showed up at her residence multiple times on Saturday, June 22nd and Sunday, June 23rd. And Ms. Davis identified the ex-boyfriend as GLEN ALVERIS. Ms. Davis stated Alvarez drove slowly past her residence in a vehicle before standing across the street. Ms. Davis stated she entered her vehicle and Alvarez approached the passenger side and began yelling at her. Ms. Davis stated Alvarez called their shared child Royal phone and began yelling about her not letting him see the children. Ms. Davis stated both Royal and Journey were present during this incident. We've seen the video, and what she says is correct. Do you have anything you want to say about that? The video?
No, sir. Yes, I mean,
You were standing in front of the house yelling at her.
I mean, it was supposed to be, she asked me to sign a passport. And that's what that was all about, because I didn't sign a passport. And then it just got out of, I also called the police the same day though.
All right. Anything else you want to say about her?
I had no knowledge of a stairway order. I remember me and her having a situation with civil court in 2014, but I done went upstate in 2017 and did 4 years upon my release. I never knew nothing about a permanent stairway order. I never even heard of that.
It was in effect, is what the police officer says. So let's talk about the second part of it. The police report that says relative to domestic abuse battery, which states in part that officers were called to Popeyes on Chef Ventura Highway. Upon arrival, they spoke to Ms. Jamma Young, who relayed the following information. Ms. Young stated her ex-boyfriend, GLEN ALVERIS, with whom she was together with for 5 months and broke up approximately 2 weeks ago, engaged in a verbal altercation which would turn physical. Ms. Young stated on Friday, April 26th, Alvarez observed a hickey on her neck, causing him to become jealous. Mr. Alvarez would then proceed on Sunday at approximately 10:21 to let her know, quote, you're getting smacked the F up tomorrow. And then you ended up going to Popeyes and throwing some red beans at her and trying to get into the employee section. And that too is on video, on the Popeyes video. What do you have to say about that?
My intentions on that note was we were supposed to come down and have a sit down and talk, because she did cheat on me. Now, I do regret it. I do regret a lot of things I did. And I realized that something that would take 5 seconds to cost me what it did just now, 5 months in jail, or it even cost me more than that. I do regret what I did. We did have an argument, but that's all it was. I had no intentions on hurting anyone. And this been over a year ago when no one still was home. I took anger management before. My intention wasn't to hurt no one. I was just speaking out of how I was feeling of my hurt. I mean, I was hurt, and I just talk loud when I'm mad, but I had no intentions on hurting anyone. And if I could reset that day, I would, because I realized how just by the tone of my voice, it put me in a position to that what I am in right now. And
A little bit more than the tone in your voice. Let me refresh your memory. Another victim inside the Popeye said that she was in the kitchen with Ms. Young, where she observed Mr. Alvarez yank on the kitchen door. Ms. Williams stated Mr. Alvarez then proceeded to come around the front counter and throw red beans at Ms. Young, hitting her. Ms. Williams stated that she heard Mr. Alvarez state, "Bitch, I'ma kill you." And that's not your girlfriend or ex-girlfriend. This is another person in the restaurant is saying that's what you're saying. So it probably just wasn't the tone of your voice, it was the words too. That's some scary words. Got anything else to say about that Popeyes incident?
But that wasn't exactly my words, but I can understand how, the ex-wife factor, how me being a male and her being a female with her employees, and they probably asked her what happened and what she said to them, they all want to know what she said, but that's just like in her phone, she said that I sent her text messages, but her phone is all cracked up. Like, even the police officer said that he can't make out what was said on the phone. And, I wish I could have printed it out of my phone to show y'all exactly what was stated, But like I said, that was a year ago, and I do regret that. I really see how the predicament that they could put me in and what it have put me in, what it I took me away from,
Okay. All right, we do have some supporters in favor.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You said earlier in the first statement that the police was called on you and you called the police. Why did you call the police?
Well, I called the police to let them know that I know that I figured that she called the police also, but from my understanding, I was supposed to come over there to sign a stillway order, and to sign a passport. I was supposed to sign a passport, but when I had refused to sign a passport, because I'm like, am I going to start getting my daughter more often? And she was like, is you gonna sign it or what? I'm like, I'm trying to come to a common ground with you, And she was like, you know what, don't worry about it. And she just wanted to get outraged. She called the police. I called the police and told them my side of the story. I told them I'm about to get from in front of her door. I don't know if she called the police, but it's not my girlfriend. I'm not by the way, in front of her door. If y'all would like to speak to me, I give him my name and I give him, that's also.
Okay, I looked at the videos also. Were you on drugs that day or were you using drugs?
No, sir.
Okay, I have no questions.
I just talk loud.
Okay.
All right. Any questions? All right, let's call on your attorney, Ms. Tessa Silverman, and see what she has to say regarding Ms. Silverman.
Good morning. Thank you very much. So I guess I'll start by saying that I've known Mr. Alvarez for 5 months now since we began working together. And I've found him to be a very thoughtful and responsible and respectful person, very sensitive and kind. I've also had the chance to get to know his family members, and they submitted letters on his behalf, which I'm sure you've been able to review, that speak especially to what a wonderful father he is, in particular to his own children and to other children in his life, for whom he assumes a parental role. And he's a really valued member of the community. He's spent a lot of time doing volunteer work and community service, and he has even received commendations from the city for that work. His girlfriend of 2 years says that he's a wonderful partner and she's never felt afraid of him. She's only ever felt cared for and safe, and that he's always worked very hard to provide for her and their family. As to the specific allegations that the board has addressed, I think I'll speak to the violation of protective order charge first. That was refused by the district attorney's office before the case could proceed and before we would have the opportunity to prove Mr. Alvarez's innocence on that charge. We never received discovery, and so I can't say specifically why the district attorney's office chose to refuse that charge, but it does seem very likely under the circumstances that they found that there was not actually a valid protective order in place. And we do have situations where the police called the registry and get outdated or mistaken information, which ends up in the report. And upon further investigation by the DA's office, it turns out that the protective order is not valid. In this case, as Mr. Alvarez mentioned, it was a civil protective order that I think was issued in 2013. So over 10 years old at the time, seems quite likely that it may have expired. Additionally, as far as the simple assault charge, that was dismissed by the district attorney's office on the morning of trial. If we'd gone to trial, would have argued, and we think successfully would have argued, that the actions that Mr. Alvarez took that day, while certainly regrettable and inappropriate, do not constitute assault, do not constitute a crime. He's alleged to have made threatening comments, as the board noted, and to have thrown a cup of beans. It is disputed whether the beans hit Miss Young or not, that I think that's probably beside the point. But my investigator had a long interview with Miss Young, and she was emphatic that she was not afraid at any point that Mr. Alvarez was going to harm her, was going to hurt her. It was an argument and it was an ugly scene, and it was certainly not behavior befitting somebody who's on parole. But we believe and we maintain that it was not a crime. That being said, it was extremely regrettable behavior, and Mr. Alvarez understands that and feels that deeply. He's been in jail for 5 months now, with lots of time to reflect on the consequences of his actions and how they've affected the people in his life. And he understands that, especially as somebody who was on parole and who was given a second chance by this honorable board, he was expected to hold himself to a higher standard. And he's very committed to meeting that standard moving forwards. He has, like he mentioned, he's asked us to connect him with anger management counseling so that he can avoid this kind of situation in the future. And my colleague, Terry Pierce, who I think was trying to join the meeting, but I'm not sure if he was able to. He's a client advocate in my office, and he submitted a letter to the board which outlines the plan we have in place to connect Mr. Alvarez with Crescent Care's behavioral health programming, which focuses on teaching folks like Mr. Alvarez about, healthy emotional regulation and communication and processing. Additionally, Mr. Alvarez has housing lined up. He can live with his mother, who's here to support him today. He has never had any problems maintaining employment, and we believe that he should be able to go back to his previous place of employment, or he also, I think, has some job offers waiting for him. But just in case, we're also going to connect him with the sheriff's office's day reporting center for their job training program. And they also offer anger management counseling, which Mr. Alvarez can benefit from. And then whatever other needs will arise or may arise, my office is here and very committed to supporting Mr. Alvarez in whatever ways he might need. He'll have continuing case management from Mr. Pierce, who is also supported by a whole staff of social workers and other client advocates and attorneys in my office. So we really believe that Mr. Alvarez is a positive addition to our community, to his family, his children. And we are begging this honorable board to exercise its discretion, its mercy, and its grace, and to give him a chance to show you that he's prepared to live up to the standards that you've set for him. Thank you very much.
Did you see the films?
The videos? Yes, sir.
You did see them?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I just want to add back to follow up Ms. Silverman's testimony is that if you look back at the 5 risk questions that the police asked Ms. Young at the scene, they wanted to know if he thought he would follow through with his threat to kill her. The answer was, yeah, I think he will kill me because anything he says, he would do it. And then on question number 5, they asked, does he possess or have a firearm? Yes, he has a firearm. What type? A Glock. That's all spur of the moment questions at the time. And then she seems to have told you something maybe different later on during the thing that just doesn't all add up right. And the fact that Mr. Alvarez is on supervision right now for possession of a firearm by a felon, 2nd-degree battery, illegal use of a dangerous weapon, aggravated assault with a firearm. I'm sure you can see how this causes concern for us.
I do. If I may respond briefly.
2 separate victims too. It's not the same woman complaining in both of these cases. So there are plenty of concerns. I just want to make sure you're aware of what she had said then compared to what she said to you.
Yes,
go ahead.
I understand. Again, I think there was really no merit in the first charge, which is why it was refused so quickly. As to the second charge, you're right. These were things that the complaining witness responded in the heat of the moment. Having watched the video, the way that the questioning happened as to the 5 risk questions feels a little bit different than how it's documented in the report. Her answer was more like, yeah, well, he said he would, so anything he said he will, I guess I can assume he'll do it. But there's no documented history of any domestic violence between them that would lead her to think that he would engage in violence in the future. And again, there was no charge that came from her mention of a firearm, which to me suggests that the police did not think there was any real concrete evidence that he at any point possessed a firearm. That would have been a very easy charge to add if they felt they had the evidence to support it. I recognize exactly what the board's saying, that the charges that he's on parole for are very serious. I think Mr. Alvarez, in many respects, was taking his parole quite seriously and was doing a very good job of checking in with his parole officer as required. And he should not have made this mistake. But I do think it actually demonstrates a positive trajectory. I know that's counterintuitive to say, but this is somebody who has charges in the past for pretty serious violence, for using a firearm. And in this case, he was angry and heated, and he did not engage in violence, and he did not use a firearm. And he said things that he shouldn't have said, and he threw a cup of beans, but that actually, I think, shows that he has made some progress in learning to restrain his emotions, and he's prepared to continue that work and become, even better at that in the future.
Thank you. All right. We also have in favor of Ms. Keisha Boone Green, Mr. Alvarez's mother, and we hear from her.
Good morning, board.
Morning.
So yeah, Glenn is my only son. He's he's a very good kid. I mean, he has made some bad decisions when it came down to women, but we support him in coming home. We're gonna stay with him, help him through his anger management um situation, keep him uplifted, get him back into church. Being home will be a great help to us. My husband is disabled. He lost his leg in a motorcycle accident about 10 years ago. And although Glenn was away when it first happened, but when he came home, he was all hands on board and helping me take care of his stepfather, who's been in his life since he was 4. We need him home. It's a struggle not having him here. We miss him. And like I said, we're gonna do everything we can to help him stay on the right track.
Thank you. All right. That's all the people that we have and all the testimony we have. I guess it's time to vote.
Any questions? Don't have any, you
All
have a
right.
vote.
The case is assigned to me. I cast the first vote, and I'm gonna vote to revoke parole. I don't have any other choices on this one. There's body camera footage, video camera footage. There's 2 separate victims claiming alleged violence. And probable cause was found at the preliminary hearing. And the history of assault and battery with firearms. For those reasons, I have to vote to revoke.
I concur with Mr. Barra.
Okay, and my vote also is to revoke your parole violations of rule number 4 and rule number 10, as you agreed to when you got out. So your parole is hereby revoked. It's 10:29 in the morning. Mr. Long, is that you? Okay, is that you, Mr. Long? Okay, you're muted there. Can you unmute? There we go. I think I can hear you now.
Yes, sir.
There. And you're at Ouachita Correctional, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is anybody in the room with the staff with you?
No, sir.
So you by yourself in the room?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and your name is Eric Long, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Eric Dwayne Long,
And what is your DOC number?
413828.
Okay, and do you have a piece of paper in front of you that tells what that you signed, talks about your attorney and talks about things like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, well, in just a minute, we're gonna go over your case. Mr. Tillis is going to be doing the interviewing of you, but I want to go over your rule violation right now. And I don't know if I introduced myself. I'm Steve Prater, and this is Chuck Tillis to my left, and to my right is Danny Barra. And you're here for a revocation hearing. That means that you signed this deal, that you agreed to certain rules, and we're saying that you might not have abided by them. And rule number 4 is the one that says that you'll stay away from any kind of criminal activity. And that's what you're accused of, violating that rule because you were arrested. That's rule number 4. And so Mr. Tillis is going to ask you about that, and then we're going to take a vote and decide if, in fact, you violated that rule or not. So you understand the process?
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Tillis, why don't you talk to me about that?
Okay, good morning, Mr. Long. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
On 9/15/24, you were arrested for disturbing the peace, resisting of an officer, and criminal mischief by filing a false report, all misdemeanors. The charges of distribution of disturbing the peace and resisting were dismissed, and you were sentenced on the crime of mischief. For 2/13/25, while out on bond, you were arrested for battery of a dating partner with a child endangerment. On 2/3/25, you pled guilty to the amended charges of criminal trespassing and sentenced for time served. Tell me about that. What happened?
My dating partner had woke me up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and she needed a ride to work. And I told her that I got laid off my job and I ain't had no gas money at the time. And she just attacked me, scratched me on top of my head. I never hit her. I walked off, and she went to work, and she called me and told me that I'm finna be arrested. I didn't never touch her or nothing.
You didn't? How long had you been out on parole?
I've been out 24.
Since 24?
Yes, sir.
And you know the rules and regulations that you're supposed to abide by?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how did she get to work? She attacked you and then she left, or you took her to work?
No, I never did go back around.
I see.
I guess she had got the bus. I think she had got the bus.
I see. Okay, I have no more questions.
Okay, all right.
She says that you refused to leave and slapped her. Elaborate about that. Why would you refuse to leave if it was her house?
When she told me to leave, I left. She grabbed me and scratched me on top of my head. I still got the marks. I never touched her. I walked off. I never had one of these charges a day in my life. And I got 6 sisters. I see how guys go about with my sisters. I don't hit female. And she also have 2, 3 more guys here on the same charge.
And you never followed her into the bedroom?
No, sir.
I never hit her with a closed fist?
No, sir. I left her resident.
And I see that she was a girlfriend of 1 month?
Yes, sir.
Had y'all fought about anything before?
No, sir. We was getting along to that night right there. I had got laid off my job in Monroe City, which hired me back now. Whenever I get out, I got my job back in Monroe City. I would report to my parole officer. I was paying. I wasn't getting in no trouble until that accident that happened.
Where will you stay if you're released?
At my mother's house, 613 South 4th.
You're not gonna go back and live with her?
No, sir. No, sir.
The child is not your child, is it?
No, sir.
I have no.
At the preliminary hearing, you told the officers there that she hit you first, and that was pretty much the reason why you were hitting on her.
No, sir. I never did hit her. I pushed her. And when she went to attack me with something in her hand, I just stuck my fist out, tried to protect myself.
So you put your fist out and she ran into it?
Yes, sir. I protect myself. She had something in her hand. I just stuck my hand out to protect myself.
Would that be the bruise that the officer saw along her facial area?
I guess so.
Pretty little. Good thought knot on there. You see it?
Yeah. So you didn't tell us the whole story yet, right?
Yes, sir. I didn't understand.
Mr. Tillis asked you to tell us what happened. I'm seeing stuff in here, more details of you saying something about cheating on you and.
Oh yeah, about the other guy in the house. About the other guy in the house. It wasn't.
Tell us the rest of the story. There was another guy in the house?
Yes, sir.
While you were there?
Yes, sir. I've seen it with my own eyes.
To finish telling us that's the rest of that story. The other guy pops out before or after she ran into your fist?
Well, when she ran into my fist, I left. And she called my phone and I was like, who was that? You know, and she like, don't worry about it. I'm talking about I was sleeping in the house. I really was feeling for my life if a guy was up in there. And I really seen this guy with my own eyes.
Okay, I don't have it.
Let me straighten this out for me.
Yes, sir.
You were arrested for disturbing the peace, resisting criminal mischief by filing a false report. And then you bonded out.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Then, while you were on bond, you were arrested for battery of a dating partner with child endangerment.
Yes, sir.
So we're talking about 2 arrests on different days, correct?
Yes, sir. See the other charges, I had a warrant. I was already incarcerated. I had did 35 months and 11 days. The warrant never did get off of the resistance and all that, the warrant that I had. And the criminal mischief, a female had stole my wallet. They called the law and I complained to them about it because I had to pay my insurance to my vehicle.
Okay, so, but you were out on bond when you got rearrested for the battery, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did your parole officer talk to you about that bond, about that charge, the original charge?
He told me that when I bonded out, I had let him know. I had went talk to him, and he was like, it wasn't no serious charge for him to put a hold on me or nothing. And he just told me to fight this here to a lesser charge, which I fought to a lesser charge.
Mr. Long.
Yes, sir.
A lot of times when we ask you to tell us what happened, we really expect you to tell us what you've been telling us, what we've been pulling out of you. And it really makes it bad. You know, you're violating the rules that have been set before you. And then if we got to pull all this out, I kind of feel like sometimes, and I've read it seems like you're hiding something. We're not telling.
I'm telling you the honest God truth, son.
But I mean, we're pulling it out of you. You know, we asked you to tell us what's happening to you. It's just like tomorrow I asked about the other incident.
Okay, anything else?
No.
No, you did end up pleading guilty though to criminal trespassing, and they dismissed all the other charges, everything?
Yes, sir.
No more questions.
Where'd you trespass?
At our house.
Okay.
How long have you been incarcerated now?
Going on 4 months.
Months. Have you learned anything about this situation?
Yes, sir. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. Stay from around.
Do you have employment if you get out?
Yes, sir. I work in Monroe City.
Okay. I'm ready to vote if you guys are.
Okay. I'm prepared. Mr. Tillis, your vote?
You know, I've been involved or seen a lot of these situations happen, and you violated the rules and you did it twice. You got arrested twice. I'm gonna grant do not revoke, and with the conditions that you don't go back to living where you were. And I hope you have learned a lesson from this.
Yes, sir.
I just got one vote.
Mr. Mulroy?
I'm gonna concur with Mr. Tillis.
Mr. Long, it takes 3 votes, and I'm sorry, but this morning you don't have 3. I vote that you be revoked. I don't buy the story of that woman ran into your fist. And she got a good pop knot on her. And the fact that you got arrested twice, I don't know. I don't buy it, and I vote to revoke. And so, I think he's gonna be released. He is released?
Majority, but.
Okay, I'm sorry. You do get a majority. So my vote, even though I would vote to keep you in jail, to revoke you, you're going to be released. So I apologize for that little heart flutter that you felt.
Yes, sir.
When you get out, I'm telling you, you better not let another woman run into your fist like that.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
That'll conclude this hearing at 10:50.